to the next generation of warfare, psychological warfare. In modern conflict, the mind is a potent weapon. Discover General Michael T. Flynn's groundbreaking guide, The Citizen's Guide to Fifth Generation Warfare. Unlock tactics, strategies, and the mindset to navigate this cognitive battlefield that we all find ourselves in. Equip yourself against manipulation and emerge unscathed. Unleash your potential. Order now.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the AlphaWarrior Show. I am your host, Alpha. The date is February 3rd, 2026, and you're going to love the show tonight, folks. You know, for the last couple of years, we've been talking about a huge problem, and that problem was the mainstream media. That problem was big tech. That problem was the old guard controlling media. And why does that matter? And we'll talk about this later on the show tonight with my special guest. Is he who controls information controls the reality, and he who controls the reality owns everything. They're the most powerful. And I wrote this in, my article that I put out about 3 weeks ago now. One of the first things that President Trump did when he started campaigning and really hit this hard towards the end of 2016 and throughout his presidency, his first presidency, was fake news, fake news, fake news. And why is that so important? He wasn't just trolling them. A lot of people think that he was, but that wasn't the main reason. And a lot of people missed what the main reason was. And what that main reason was, he delegitimized the old guard's authority of information. And that is a huge tactical move. That's the move that tells us there is most definitely a plan in play, because he attacked the apparatus of media with the understanding that that was going to create a vacuum. And can the bad guys, the deep state, the elite, the globalists, whatever name you want to call them, can they just plug in whatever they want into that vacuum? They could, but there was another phase in that plan that Trump had, and we're there. And tonight, we're going to be talking about your news, and just add a .com to the end of that. And why is that important? Because we have a solution. Like, we have a real solution where we're not relying on Elon. We're not relying on anyone. It's us. We have the ability in one location. I hope I have your guys' attention. I hope if you're washing dishes, you just put down the plate. If you're in the garage and you're working on something, you just put down the wrench. I hope I have your attention, because 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, you're going to be like, damn it, Alpha told me. We have a solution of a parallel economy, information with transparency and rapport, and we, the people, being in control of it, all in one location. What are we talking about? yournews.com. So we're going to go to these commercials, these partnerships, these affiliates, because I got to keep these lights on. And when we come back, folks, we got a solution to the problem. And not only will I be a part of it, but I'll definitely be investing in it. And I'll tell you right now, you're going to want to too. If not, you're going to be like, damn, Alpha told me that this thing was going to be it, and I didn't listen. And then some of you are. So let's get to these. Let's pay some bills. And when we come back, it's going to be a great show. I'll see you guys on the other side.
Have you ever read the ingredients on the fiber supplements you're taking? Have you ever read the ingredients on the probiotic supplements you're taking? Well, you're going to find things like corn syrup, preservatives, cornstarch, wheat dextrin, hydrolyzed corn, hydrolyzed gums. These are the kinds of things you're going to find in a lot of the supplements you're taking that are supposed to be good for your gut. And we all know how important the gut is for our overall health. Everything from acid reflux to mental health to irritable bowel syndrome to cardiovascular health to athletic performance. The research just comes out every day on how important our gut microbiome is to our overall health. Well, as an entrepreneur, we thought, hey, let's do this a little bit better. There's got to be something that is both better from an ingredient standpoint and also from a functional standpoint. And that's why we have Good Brew. Well, the Good Brew, no non-GMO, organic, no wheat dextrin, gluten-free, 2 ingredients, organic. Hey, you can put it in your coffee every day. What's better than that? Put it in your oatmeal, put it in your water, whatever you like, but it goes great with coffee. In fact, I just spoke with a chef this morning who was trying the product, and he said, hey, I drink my coffee black, and it was fantastic. So he's now a true believer in Good Brew himself. So you guys support us, and we think it's going to be a great thing for everybody.
Science proves that a healthy immune system is the body's first defense against the smallest of ailments to the most catastrophic. Coriolus versicolor is the most sought-after, all-natural supplement for both humans and pets to help boost the immune system. There are over 400 studies worldwide on its effectiveness in humans, including Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, MD Anderson Cancer Center, and now from the University of Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Medicine. Together, we can help reverse this terrible tide now plaguing your loved ones and give them the immune-boosting supplements that they need.
And with that, folks, let me get one more here from Rumble, because Rumble's the one that keeps this show going. And I hope you guys enjoy this show. And the link is down in the description. You'll see it on the crawl bar as well. If you haven't got yourself a Rumble wallet yet, well, now is the time. So with that, they can cancel your accounts, freeze your cards, decide what you're allowed to buy, say, or support. Big banks and financial institutions have total control, and they use it. That's why financial independence matters more now than ever. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a wallet built for real freedom. With Rumble Wallet, you get to control your money, not the bank, not the government, not a tech company. Buy digital assets like Tether, Tether Gold, and Bitcoin in one secure place. No permission, no middleman, no cancel button. And when you want to support the creators you actually believe in, like this guy, you can use the Rumble Wallet app to directly tip content creators securely, instantly, and without interference. This isn't a credit line they can shut off. It's your wallet permanently. Yours to protect your future, yours to protect your family. When the system fails, when the institutions turn on their own people, financial sovereignty is the difference between security and vulnerability. Rumble Wallet isn't about politics. It's about freedom, ownership, and protecting what's yours. So take control today. Download Rumble Wallet now and step away from the big banks for good. True ownership, true protection, true financial freedom. And I'll see you guys on the other end of this. Enjoy the show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, remember, support the people, support this show. This content is free. So we all wanted a parallel economy, and it's down there in the description. So like I hinted earlier in my little monologue, we are tired of being lied to by mainstream media. When Trump came into office in 2016, when he was campaigning, what was one of the first things that he did in his mission? He delegitimized the media companies. Fake news, fake news, fake news. And when you do that, you pull their authority away from them, you delegitimize them, but you also create this vacuum. And in that vacuum, you got to have something. So with that, I have Sam Anthony. Let me bring him on the screen. Thank you for joining me, sir. You have something to help fill that void. Your News, yournews.com. You guys will see it scrolling across the screen. You'll see the link down in the description. Sam, thanks for joining us. Tell us, what is this?
Hey, well, Alfredo, good to be here, man. So, and by the way, your intro, 2016, I will say this. I never believed the media was lying until Trump won in 16, and then they completely turned on him, and that's when I went, oh my God. They have, because my partner's been telling me for years that the media is not telling the truth. I'm like, why would they lie? But obviously I was way wrong on that one, because don't they live here too, right? Why do they want all this crime and corruption to be propagated and pushed out? And I would have never thought in a million years they would, but I guess making money off of it, then why wouldn't you? You know, so we all saw that through USAID, where all the money was flowing to the legacy media, right? They're all propped up. So it's just a matter of time before they're gone. But for your audience, we're Your News is a hyper local news content distribution platform. So basically, I look like the Miami Herald or the New York Times or the Chicago Tribune on steroids. I'm in every city in the United States with the ability to target ads right down to one zip code, massive scale. Every news organization on planet Earth is an aggregator. That's what they do, meaning people that have news send what's called a press release to the media. If you're a nonprofit and you're a church having a bake sale, or some, other nonprofit that's having a 5K run, somebody from that organization sends a press release to the news outlet in the market. News organizations aggregate that, then they decide what they're going to air or publish. So I'm an aggregator of the identical content. I have the ability to print it all because there's no cost, and we can organize it by subject and geography. So news is either city, county, market. Markets are defined by television DMAs for local news, so NBC, ABC affiliates, state, regional, or national. So I could distribute to any of these areas with the touch of a button. So our goal would be to take all the content that flows out of the US, and they will give it to you freely, aggregate it all under one umbrella, and create one uniform media. In addition, I never showed you this, but on LinkedIn, what happens when people lose their jobs with the media? On LinkedIn, they go to freelance, right?
Yep.
Do you know there's almost 500,000 people on LinkedIn that are freelance journalists right now?
I did not know that.
And that, by the way, that's just the United States. It's 2 million globally. Okay. On top of it, there's almost 200,000 students that are student journalists that came out of school that can't find jobs. These are just the people that are advertising this. So what we have is a monetization model that works identical to YouTube. Everybody, or even X has one, Facebook has one. Good luck with that, getting on Facebook. Okay. And Rumble has one where you could submit your work freely without censorship. And then based on how many views it gets, you could get a percentage of the ad revenue. It's no different than YouTube. So as I was explaining, YouTube created a technology where anybody could become a broadcast journalist, even if you never went to broadcast journalism school, right? And you did not, correct? Yet somehow you have your own show, and the marketplace decided whether they liked you or not, right?
Correct.
We've created technology where anybody could be a local news reporter. And we handle, by the way, audio, video, or print. It doesn't really matter. Most of my content creators do written work, but I have a lot of audio and video people as well. And I even have, 70 to maybe 100 content creators that are overseas. And they're reporting world news. So I just had somebody reach out from Pakistan. So when they sign up, we'll have boots on the ground in Pakistan. I think that's cool as hell. So we have a monetization model where they can submit their work freely, and they can get paid based on how many people view their content. By the way, no different than Rumble or YouTube. Same thing. The difference is the ability to publish content to a city. So I could carry something like somebody's Little League game, which is sports news for that one city. And we both know LA County is massive. Right? Just the LA market in general, right? You're part of that LA market. Yeah.
It's awesome because for me that wants to be a journalist, I get to participate. But also from the content creation site, what you have here is extremely important to me. Because if I start to hear of something popping off in, let's just say, Pakistan, then I'll just go and search out that to see what's the local media out there reporting, because I can't go to CNN or MSNBC because I know they're going to push a narrative. But if I know that there's a website like yournews.com where I can go put it in and hear what the citizens in that area are saying, now I got reliable information, which means now I get to go report on that, and I know I'm going to be accurate.
Exactly. Yeah. So here's the good news, because the legacy media, the American public has completely lost trust in them, right? I mean, nobody believes them anymore. For those of you who don't know, the average age of people watching cable news, Alfredo, do you know what it is?
I would say in the 60s or older.
It's going to be about 73 or 74 now, 73 or 74 years old. And the point is nobody's following up behind them, right? So you ever notice you see all pharmaceutical ads?
That's all you see.
Okay, well, that's because it's their market. Okay, that's the reason. Okay, but did you, by any chance, last year? I'm trying to think of the organization that does the reporting for Nielsen ratings, right? For television news.
Right.
You may have missed it, but even Megyn Kelly must have heard me say something on a show and then looked it up, because all of a sudden she was all over it. On all network television stations combined in the first quarter of last year, so we're a year into it, guess what the total viewership was between age 26 and 54, which is the prime advertising. So it's, you're 20, maybe it was 20, 26 and 54. So they figure by that age, you're out of school, you're getting your first house, you're getting married, you got to buy a car, you need insurance, and as you ramp up, this is the prime age for advertisers and who they want to reach. Guess what the total audience view was for first quarter?
I mean, I would guess it'd have to be in the hundreds of millions.
It was 500,000 total.
What?
Yes, 500,000. And that wasn't per day. Yeah.
There's no, I have had higher viewership than them.
That was for, now remember, the 70 plus crowd, or 55 and up, there's going to be more, but so it was the younger generation is on TikTok. They're on YouTube. They're on Rumble. They're on Instagram. They're not getting their news that way, is what I'm saying. I mean, you're not very old. Okay. I'm becoming a senior now, but back in 1990, there were 4 options: ABC, NBC, CNN, and Fox. That was it. So if you wanted to see something, there was your 4 options. Today, there's 50 million channels on YouTube. Rumble has 250,000. I mean, there's so many different places. I mean, to think of Spotify, all these different places to consume information, you're talking about 100 million additional choices or better. And, before we never had that. And so, one of my shareholders called me up the other day, and he sells cars in Ohio. And he said some woman came in to buy a car, and she was getting financing. And she said she's on TikTok. Look her up. She had over 1 million followers on TikTok. And this is a person I never heard of. I mean, that's the point, is you could take somebody that's a nobody, but all of a sudden 1 million people watch her content daily. That's bigger than CNN, MSNBC, and ABC combined.
It is, because for the last couple of years we've been addressing the problem, and the problem is the gatekeepers. And one of the reasons I'm so excited about this show is because it's a solution. Here is a solution to that problem. And you probably haven't seen a lot of the content that I've done, Sam, but one of the things that I routinely talk about, my audience understands this, is information warfare. Like that is where we're at, not just as a nation, but globally. We're in this fight of information, because he who controls the reality of the people controls everything. And this is the opportunity for people to take back control of reality. This is the time where people can sit back and say, you're saying everything's burning down, but where I live, I don't see it. So whose reality am I subscribing to? You know what? I know a couple buddies that live out on the East Coast. Let me go to your news, look up what they're reporting. And you know what? They're not reporting that everything's burning down. So are they trying to create panic and chaos for whatever agenda that they got for us that's coming down? What you're providing here, Sam, destroys the ability for the gatekeepers to maintain control of their reality. Like, I don't know if you understand how huge that is.
Oh, I do. You hit it on the head. Information is power. He who controls all the information has all the power. That's why they call them media moguls, right? And we live in a world of centralized news. And you saw it with Sinclair Broadcasting, with the 50 TV saying the same thing at the same time, right? I mean, you obviously know that message came from one location that was sent down to all the local stations, and they were all parroting the same script. Anytime, and this is, as Mark Fincham told me, anything you can do that decentralizes the current infrastructure is what you want to be involved with. And what we do is, because ultimately what I do is inevitable. The legacy media is going to go out of existence, even if they were telling the truth. It's just because it's an antiquated product. What we do is completely decentralize the news business, and we democratize who gets to say it. It's basically putting the power of the press back in the hands of the people where it belongs. And I have one more thing to share on this, because people say to me, by the way, we have over 5,600 news reporters right now, right? And people say to me, how do you fact check all this stuff? I go, how could I possibly know about the city council meeting in Schaumburg, Illinois? How could I possibly know? There is no fact checking. Want to know who the fact checkers are? It's you. It's the people, because you are only as good as the information you're putting out. And if you lie to people, and answer me honestly, if you start lying and spreading propaganda, how long will your viewers listen to you?
You'll fade out
instantly, right? They're not dumb. They know they can look this stuff up. So the only thing you have is your credibility, right? Look, it's okay to make a mistake. You say, oh man, I missed that one. I got it wrong. And nobody will hold you, blame you for that. But if the only thing a journalist has is their credibility, and the moment they lie, it's over, right? So if somebody makes up a fake story about some city council meeting in any specific city, I'm going to get a bunch of people emailing me saying, I was there. That's a lie. It's BS. It never happened. And if we look into it, we'll just delete their account. They're gone. By the way, it hasn't happened yet. Now, I've had people that have threatened me with lawsuits because somebody posted true information that was public information and they didn't like it. Matter of fact, 2 times in the last 2 weeks, I've gotten that. And they were just credible reporting. It wasn't any slander. It was, one guy was upset because he's running for political office. And one of the reporters in Pennsylvania was showing he'd got a DUI here and this, and he was arrested for battery of his wife, right? And it was just public information, and this guy's losing his mind. And I'm like, well, first of all, I'm covered under Section 230. You're going to have to go after them. And please, anything that's not accurate, please send me, because if it's not accurate, then I'll take it down in a minute. And I never heard anything. I never heard anything. I had another person in Palm Beach County complaining, and the people who wrote the story, it was a story that came out from a press release about something that happened in court, and they won the court lawsuit, and they were just spewing what happened. And she was mad because they were telling the truth. It was, here's what happened. So she wanted me to remove it. And then I said, listen, send me the information that shows that this is inaccurate. I promise I will remove it instantly. Nothing. Want to know why? Because it was all factual. They just don't want the facts to be out there because it didn't go her way. And I'm sure we're going to get a lot more of them. But at the end of the day, it allows for people to report the news freely without censorship. We're here just to get the information out, whether it's good or bad. It doesn't matter. And the public's going to decide what content they like.
It is so, this is a weapon system. Like that's the way I see it, that's my tactical mindset is this is a weapon system. This allows me, one of the things that I'm excited about, and I'll let you kind of explain to people what the process is I know a lot of my audience, especially a lot of them that are just absolute digital warriors that spend a lot of time on different platforms, whether it's the trenches of Facebook or the trenches of X, formerly Twitter, you name the platform, they're there. And, a few years ago, if, you didn't get a lot of views or a lot of likes, people would be like, well, your content was terrible. That's why. But now, people are like, I'm putting out good information. I'm putting out factual information, and the algorithm is suppressing it. It doesn't want people to see this. This gives people an opportunity to go and put their content out there and just let the marketplace decide who's going to see it. They don't have to worry about it just being suppressed by gatekeepers. And that's powerful because information is also contagious. When people hear a factual story, everybody wants to start diving into it if it's a story that's going to have impact. Everybody.
Nick Shirley.
Perfect example. And look what it's led to.
Yeah.
You have this one young guy with the support of a friend and his mom by his side that has the government is now forced to be involved. There are people that are sweating. It's granted there's some chaos that's developed from it, but that chaos that's developed from it is because the people know that they're caught and they're trying to cover it up, which is more stories.
Yeah.
There's this endless amount of stories, and I hope the audience is understanding here. All of you that have, written me or spoke to me, personally or publicly of, I want to be involved. I want people to know about what's going on in my community. Here's your shot. Like this is it. This is your opportunity to go, put pen to paper in the digital world and tell people what is going on in your community. If we go back a couple of years when you had the Palestine derailment out there, I believe it was Ohio.
Ohio.
We were at the mercy of mainstream media. And it wasn't until at that time, Nick Sorter's done a phenomenal job in citizen journalism, finally went out there. But imagine if, he would have known about this resource, and a lot of us could have just been like, hey, I'm going to go to Your News and let me just type in the zip code for that and let me see what's actually going on. Like the speed of, once this gets like crazy traction, it's unstoppable. I mean, am I too excited, Sam? I know it's yours. There's probably a
get it.
But...
So you get it. And let me just share one thing with you. So I'm of the opinion that the media has been lying. I'm disgusted with our federal government, like everybody else is, right? And now that Trump's in, you're starting to see all this stuff, with the NGOs and, all the fraud that's been going on. And so, I'm always, as a guy, we're always trying to figure out the solutions to everything. This is what we do, right? Fix the problem. And, to me, there's only a few ways to fix this. The number one way would be if Trump could figure out a way to shut down any money going out of Washington forever, right? Where they're never allowed to fund anything at any time for any reason and leave everything to the states. Now, if the states want to rip their citizens off, it's not our problem, because my money, I live in Florida. Why should I have to pay for some Somalian daycare that doesn't exist, that then my money gets sent to Somalia? So that's one way to do it. Second way is through a civil war. Nobody wants that, right? Or the third way is control the press. And so this is going to where you're saying, because as we start getting bigger, and my estimate is once we get to 20, 30,000 people, oh my God, this will be a force to be reckoned with. And you haven't even started. As you start getting all this local news reporting all over the United States, the key here is local. Because every single crime there is, anything going on happens somewhere, right? Nick Shirley broke a story that went national, but it was happening in Minneapolis as well as a lot of other places. So it starts somewhere. So what we're able to do, and this is our niche, is the ability to be able to cover local things going on. That's the key. So there's some stories, 99% of them don't make national news. It could be some small thing, government, and as we were saying in Fayetteville, Pennsylvania, which only appears in politics in Fayetteville because that's all it's relevant to. But as we build these army of news reporters, it's going to be real citizen powered press, and it's going to expose and uncover everything. And there is no gatekeeper, right? That's the key to the whole thing, because they controlled through centralized news and everything. There was filters on everything. There's no filters here, right? As long as you're not slandering people, your stuff's going to be run. We have no idea if it's factual or not. The public will let us know. And if it's not, we get rid of you. This is the way you solve the problem. If you can control the press, you control everything. And this is going to become the next mainstream media, because the other one's going out of business, all of them.
It absolutely is. As a matter of fact, I've shared this for at least a few years now, is when mainstream media knew that cat's out of the box, Trump told everybody about what we're doing. They didn't just throw their hands in the air and say, well, you caught us, it's game over, we surrender. I told everybody, no, they're going to rebrand themselves. They're going to try to infiltrate these other areas because they don't have any other choice. They got to control information. And with Your News, you're not going to have to rely on names that you don't know. You're going to know these people in your community. You're going to know who's reporting these things. So you get, that rapport. You're not trusting a stranger. But in addition to that, you also have, once I personally vet this person, John Smith, that's from my city, and I see, he's consistently accurate. I see his reporting because this is where I live. I just see it very powerful. And so here's my thing, Sam. With all things powerful, that means the bad guys are going to be like, well, we can't let this survive. Like, no, we got to go after it. You know, what's your model to protect this once they decide to say, hey, we cannot allow this to take off. We cannot allow this to be what's the source of information.
So that's going to be the big tech giants will be the ones that give me the offers first for acquisition. That will happen. And as you know, we discussed, I think it'll be between 20 and 30,000 content creators when you start getting offers. I don't really see this being turned off simply because 99% of my content creators are doing local news all over the United States. We're talking anything from the high school football game to city council meetings. I mean, this is stuff that's important to America. I mean, you know, the local newspaper is the backbone of a free society. Without it, we're all screwed. So I don't see anybody really taking this down. But what I do see, and this is where we've had this conversation, this is a product that shouldn't be owned by an individual, shouldn't be owned by institutions, right? I mean, you're on Rumble platform. I'm sure you're probably on a lot of other ones as well, because every content creator wants broader distribution as well as monetization. So, you know, you want to be everywhere you could possibly be. But even Rumble, if you look up the investors in there, you'll see, you know, BlackRock and Vanguard. I'm not trying to burst anybody's bubble. I'm just going to tell you right now, whenever you're going public, the institutional money's coming in, whether you like it or not. Okay, you can't stop it, right? These guys have trillions of dollars. They have nowhere to put it. And they're like, screw it. I'll throw 100 million in that, you know. So it's going to happen. But you want to have it where the people own the product. So ultimately, I'd really like to get this done within the Trump administration, you know, within the last year. Ultimately, I have no interest in selling this to institutions. My interest is in selling it to the people and to have the people own it. So we plan on doing a public offering between month 24 and 36 to get this thing into the hands of the people. Because if you're really supposed to be a news organization that's for the people, by the people, it shouldn't be owned by BlackRock or Vanguard. It should be owned by the people, the end. So that's the purpose for that. I will get that done.
That I mean, and that's the reassuring part, because not only can I be a journalist here, but I can also be the investor that's part of it to make sure that my work's never taken over by the gatekeepers. So for those that are listening to you and they're like, all right, I'm excited like Alpha, I want to be a journalist. Or maybe I did it for a career, I retired and I want to come back into it, and do this locally from my community. What's the process? How do people become a part of this?
They go to yournews.com, and if you scroll down all the way to the bottom, there's something that says become a citizen journalist. There's a few videos you could listen to. They're all like a minute or two, they're short. But then right below it, there's an application. So you fill that out. It comes into us. Once you get approved, you'll get an email with instructions on how to use your dashboard. It's simple. And we've got, just under 6,000 news reporters right now, 5,650 or 40. I don't know what that is. It's a big number. But that's it. And so we're looking for people that are proactive in the community that want to go out and report, and we can handle audio, video, or print. All three, doesn't matter. So even if you're already on another platform, if you're on TikTok, if you're on Instagram, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Rumble, we can take all the embed codes from those. So it becomes broader distribution and then monetization. Also, if you're somebody that has opinions, or you want to post a classified, at the top of the page, it says submit your news. You could have created an account that way, and you could submit content. So we're open to the public. The people we monetize are the people that are doing this trying to make a living, right? That are reporting news, not somebody putting up their bake sale, right? That's an ad. We don't mind publishing it, but but those are the people that, they don't get monetized accounts. They get accounts that they can submit their content. But the real people that need it are the ones that are doing this for a living. And so for our platform, and for like you, for example, we offer broader distribution and monetization. It's where the whole world's headed, right? So imagine me with 100,000 news reporters. You have any idea how much traffic that'll drive? It's coming. And by the way, for the audience, there's 20,000 cities. If we have 5 people a city, that's 100,000 people. You haven't even begun. And look at all the categories: home and garden, food and wine, travel. I have people that do movie reviews, local theater critics, restaurant reviews, faith-based stuff. Churches could put up, they could have a YouTube channel and add the embed code, and we could start airing their sermons. We have business, science and technology, every single sport there is, hockey, soccer, basketball, football. I mean, it's endless in terms of content. And when before the internet, Alfredo, let's say that you came out of journalism school and you wanted to write for the newspaper and your passion was politics. You know what the odds are in you getting a job at a newspaper for politics? Pretty much zero. You'd be lucky if you get a job. And I listen to these student journalists. They say, well, I really like to write about, home and garden. And now I'm writing about business news and I have no idea about business, right? They take what they can get. Well, what this does is it allows everybody to be able to produce the content that they want to write about, what their passion is. And it falls under home and garden, food and wine, lifestyle, art and culture, entertainment. And the marketplace decides whether they like the content or not. That's it.
This is so awesome.
So that's why I was saying nobody's taking this down, because 99% of the stuff is your kid's Little League game. I mean, give me a break. Oh my God, that's a threat to democracy. No, it's not. This is just local information from local people.
It's the concept and model here is just phenomenal. So many people have asked for it, and we kind of said this, earlier. I don't know if it was in this conversation, the conversation before the show, but we've spent years and years talking about the problem, and now we have a solution, tactically, but also, like you said, just everyday community, having your words that are out there. I have a cousin that he's real into, the girls' Little League soccer. He's been doing it through all his daughters, and he tries to go to Facebook to share these stories, and it's there, but then it gets, taken over by the comments, and then everybody loses track of the story. Imagine being able to tell everybody, hey, if you want to know how the weekend little girls league soccer went, you have that entire community that gets to go there and report on the games and how it went, and rising stars. I just think it's awesome to give everybody the ability, not just for the local community, but for everybody to kind of see what's really going on. And we've said this, we have on, X has these things, Sam, called X Spaces. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but I call them our modern day virtual town halls. That's what they are. And one of the things I see in people there is just like, well, if I go and I watch Fox or MSNBC or even some podcasts, everybody makes it seem like the world's like, we're in the apocalypse. But then I come into these spaces and I'm just talking to everybody about what's going on in their local area. And everybody's like, nah, it's, gas has gone down, eggs are, starting to fare okay. Like, nobody's reporting chaos in their own local area. So it's like, what the heck's going on? What's real? And I think this really gives us an opportunity to tap into that. And there's so much untapped talent as well, Sam. There's so many people that can be great journalists. It's just they understand that. Well, if I even go through the entire institutional formal training, once I get there, I'm going to be tasked with, covering the construction on this, whatever it is. And it's nothing to do with my passion. And passion's where, if you love what you're doing, is it even working? And to have people translate that into writing and then put it on a platform where we can all see it, I just think it's awesome. Let me ask you this. What made you create it? Like, how did it even spawn?
Okay. Well, so years ago, me and a couple guys believed that the newspaper industry was going to be replaced by digital. And this was a long time ago. And we set out to build a platform to replace it. We knew nothing about this. So remember, my background is not media. It's investments. It's investment banking. And we failed miserably. And we spent our money doing it. And then what happened was I had to find a new partner because I lost two partners, and we built a new platform which solved the problems of what we had. And the trick was, how do you get local news and do it in every market in the United States? And how do you do it cost effectively? So the model was, how Fox, CBS, and ABC have the local NBC affiliates, ABC affiliates, right? So that was the model, but it was all with broadcast stations that were small market broadcast stations that had local news stringers running around. And we covered most of the country with local news. And this is going back a while ago, so you could tell I've been doing this a long time. And then what happened was I started losing the broadcast stations. And they said, I called them up because I knew everybody. I said, what's going on? And they said, well, we had to let our news reporter go. And our news director, everybody has news directors. And then usually they have a director with 1, 2, or 3 people out running around covering local stories. And then we got those stories. And a few of them told me, you better change your model because our radio stations aren't going to be around forever. We're going to go out of business. The guy goes, I own 3 stations and I wouldn't listen to any of them if I didn't own them. He said, I'd rather listen to Sirius XM radio, right? And I went, oh, we got a problem here. And so one day I was, you know how you lay in bed thinking and, because you can't sleep and I sometimes you get these epiphanies, that are really good ideas in the middle of the night. And I said, we need to change this to a monetization model. So then what we did was we changed the model to monetization. It's basically you had to rip the engine out of the car and then put a whole new engine. It was a completely different model. And we started testing it and it worked. And then we went out and raised a small amount of money through small investors. And we started scaling that up. And now we've gotten to the point where we've got, just under 6,000 news reporters. And in the next, call it 18 to 24 months, I want to get that to somewhere between 30 and 50,000. And it will be a force to be reckoned. I mean, at that moment in time, you're just a monster. Okay. And you haven't even begun. Remember, if there's 20,000 cities and there's just about 20,000 cities and you have 50 people a city, which is not unheard of, you're talking about a potential for 1 million news reporters. And that's just the United States. That, my next move after we finish, how all these platforms have where you could follow a specific content creator. So ours is in the process of being completed. Once that's completed, the next country I'm opening is Canada. Right. So you could, it's just a zip code table, plug and play, right? You could just, do the same thing over and you can start scaling this across the globe. So here's what I will tell you. There's 100% chance this will happen. The future of news will be a hyper-local news platform, most likely global, with a social component where the public can interact and share in the narrative locally, which is what the people want, along with a monetization model where content creators can submit their work freely without censorship, and a self-service ad platform where somebody could buy an ad targeted to one zip code, which I showed you. This is where it's all headed. I'm just the only player, right? So from the standpoint of, finding an investment that has massive scale, oh my God, this is it. And this is the only part of the internet that's been left untouched. Everything else has been replaced, right? I mean, ultimately, YouTube and, Netflix and, they're all replacing television. Television is going to be a thing I'm talking network television. It's all going away. We already know the newspapers are on their last leg, right? Radio is going to be replaced by streaming along with television, right? But there's no way for Fox News to compete with a platform. So platforms are places of aggregation where, like TikTok, I don't know how many content creators they have on there, but there's probably in the millions, right? And Instagram in the millions, and YouTube is 50 million, and Rumble has 250,000 people, right? You can't compete with products like that because they have so many different users that they attract millions of people coming to that content. And Fox News has who? They don't allow the public to interact. This actually is the exact opposite of their model. We're not interested in what you have to say. Right. So it's the platforms that will replace it. So ultimately, we're just a platform that could have millions of content creators contributing content, which drives a massive audience. And it could be content as small as somebody's Little League game. Well, that's sports news for somebody, right? But it's just in that city. And there may only be 5, 10, or 20 people that are interested in that content, but we could carry it. Can't do that on Fox News, can you? You can't. Right. Even the local networks don't cover it because the networks, the television DMAs like mine, between Boca Raton and Sebastian, has got to be an hour, 45 minutes. Yours is, your market is all the LA television DMA goes into Orange County.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. It's enormous. It's the biggest. in terms of geography. So the CBS, ABC, and NBC affiliate you're watching in LA, they're seeing in Orange County.
You know, one thing I did pick up on a few years ago is,
Hmm.
this was actually heartbreaking to me, Sam,
Hmm.
is if you wanted to know what the local news station, for me out here, KESQ is, you know, the big local news.
Mhm.
Well, if you wanted to know what KESQ was going to air for their 7 in the morning news, you just had to go watch KTLA at 5, because they were just going to put out the same information. It was the identical script every single time. The only exception would be the weather and traffic. Other than that, it was just like, what happened to our local news? Like, you know,
It's all going away because all the ad revenue went to platforms, Alfredo. That's the problem. Do you know how much Google sucks in ad revenue a quarter? Do you know how much YouTube sucks in? Of course, it's all the same company, right? But it's in the billions. Where do you think that money came from? It came from traditional media. It's just a different form of advertising. It's more cost effective. What they don't attract is Joe's Pizza. What they don't attract is, you know, the local dry cleaner or the ice cream parlor or, you know, the local restaurants, because it's not really cost effective for that, right? And that's where we come in, because you could target right down to one specific zip code.
You know, that I'm glad you brought that up. So I wanted to make sure I didn't forget this thought. You know, my name and my integrity is everything. We talked about that earlier. The second that is tarnished, this entire podcast is done. Nobody will believe in it no more, and rightfully so. And I've had people reach out, you know, that are, you know, smaller, you know, like a mom and pop shop, maybe a little bit bigger, and they're like, hey, I want to, you know, advertise this on your thing. And their product is very specific, like area specific to things. I'm like, we don't have the analytics yet to understand, like, where I can tell you, hey, what you're selling, which is meant for people in the cold, you know, this is my demographic for that. It's like you're really going to be paying for something that's just a roll of the dice. If I have a lot of people that are in that area that are happen to be cold and need that, then it's successful. But if it's not, then, you know, that wasn't a great investment. Like, I'm honest with these people because they're my supporters.
Exactly.
So this is something where, you know, if you got a product where, you know, a cold front's coming to an area and you got something, you can go and put an ad here for that area because you know specifically what's coming for them, and it makes sense. It's an educated investment.
Do you want me to show the audience an example of that?
I would love that.
Okay,
Absolutely.
hold on. So let me share screen. And I'm going to do top stories. Okay, so this is Palm City, Florida, right? Now, this is a national ad, True Homeowners, X Insurance, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Chicago. Now, ads are on a best bid basis. So the hyper local ads are going to be more expensive. So now this is the front page of Chicago. And notice it's a completely different ad, right? And then I'm going to take you to, and I have to get the zip, 97203. So this is Portland, Oregon. And notice it's a totally different ad. You see that?
I do.
Okay. And by the way, they bought these online. Okay. And they target the areas. So this ad only appears to Portland residents. Isn't that cool?
That's brilliant.
And now I'm coming back to you here. Okay. So when you sell ads, the ads could be all around the content, right? That just happens to be a front page, but ads are on a best bid basis. National ads run at a penny, but the hyper local ads run at 10 cents or more, right? So if you have a 2-cent ad, it's going to trump a 1-cent ad. The reason I'm bringing this up to you is because, you know, the national advertisers had a monopoly, but the little guy could never trump the big guy, right? And so what our product does is it allows the little guy to win. He doesn't care about the CPM rate, the cost per thousand, even if it's $100 per thousand. If he's buying one zip code out of 100 in LA or 135, does it really matter? Would it 6 people see his ad? It cost him 60 cents today. He doesn't care. It's all about placement. And these people have nowhere to go. So as these local newspapers dry up, where are you going to advertise? And so we become an alternative for that. And at full scale, I'm just going to share some math with you. The reason that a lot of these websites don't make it, the reason there's no scale to, I'm going to use any website, is because the CPM rates are so low. They're a penny is what you get for national ads. So if you have 10 ads around a story, that article made a whopping 10 cents, right? And so if you have, 100 million views, you made $10 million off of it, or $1 million. The hyper-local ads are much higher. Their average is 10 cents. So if you have 10 ads, it's $1. So 100 million views is $100, or 100 million views is going to be $100 million. It's different. So the little guys take precedence. So we have the ability, because of all the zip codes, to have millions of customers. We haven't even gotten to that level yet, but I'm just showing you a few ads that are running in specific markets. There's more. I just don't know where to find them, right? Somebody could say, I want to target an ad that people reading golf in Schaumburg, Illinois, right? And I'm like, okay, well, it only appears there. You got to be opening up a golf story to see it. So this is ultimately where everything is heading. And the scale here is astronomical. You need scale, right? And the advertisers have the ability to be able to target right down to a specific zip code. There's your scale. So this gives them the ability to beat out the national advertisers. So as we start ramping up and scaling, the next step is going to be marketing on a bigger scale to small business owners and let them come in and start buying their own ads. And that's what's going to support the local journalists. So buying an ad from us supports guys like you.
Just absolute perfection when it comes to a formula of a parallel economy, finally true, transparent news, and we the people being in control. I mean, it's brilliant, Sam.
Thank you. Yeah, we've listen. The reason it makes sense is because it makes sense, right? And by the way, this is the exact replication of their model on steroids. This is not something new. Our model is over 200 years old. This is just creating a more efficient mechanism, and then allowing for the public to interact. I'm going to share one story with you. I was sitting at a restaurant outside, at a bar and restaurant, ordering lunch one day, and a friend of mine that works for, I think it was the CBS affiliate. He was the manager for the CBS affiliate, was there, and he said to me, because he went to our app, and he said, he saw the submit news button, and he looked at me with disgust, and he said, "You allow the public to submit content to you?" And I said, "Yeah, don't you?" No, I knew he didn't, right? So he goes, "We would never do it." And I go, "And that's exactly why you're going to go out of business." And the woman next to me, I didn't even know who she was, chimed in and said, "He's exactly right. None of you are going to make it, because what he provides is what we all want, and you're not giving it to us, so we're going somewhere else." Anyway, I told Bob he had a limited lifespan in his job. He lost his job within 2 months. He got fired. And it was for no other reason that he was making too much money, and they brought somebody else in that was younger for half the cost. And there you go. The money's going to platforms.
There it is. Sam, I'm excited about this. I will keep you in your prayers. Let me ask you one more question before we wrap this up. For somebody that is watching this podcast and they're just like, Sam, I want to be a part of this. I'm going to go to the website. I'm going to click on the link. What's a realistic turnaround between me submitting that application and me being able to start being a citizen journalist?
Well, if you do it in the middle of the night, you got to wait till the morning. Okay. If you do it on the weekends, is a little time, but during the day, regular, time, we're on Eastern time when we see this stuff, we activate them right away. We look at them, there's only been a few people I didn't activate because I didn't really like what I saw, and it had nothing to do with politics. So I just want to let you know, my personal opinion, I'm sure yours is, you cannot censor any side. You really need both sides of the equation, and you need the public to be able to decide. Now for me, news is who, what, when, where, why. So if you're going to inject your opinion into an article, it's okay. It just becomes an opinion. And I have people that do that all the time. There's a woman in Atlanta. I love her. She produces at least 10 freaking stories a day, and all 10 of them are opinion. And she asked me about it. Why are these opinion? Because look what you said. It's like she always puts her opinion in. Like she'll start out with this news story and it's so perfect. And then right here in paragraph 3, it says, and they deserved it, right? And I'm like, well, what the hell? So, she turns them into opinions. I don't mind. It just has to go in opinions. It's not a news piece. So if you're writing a news story, let the public decide. Don't tell them what their opinion should be. That's the whole key to this. So to answer your question, you're up pretty quickly. And then, you get an email with instructions on how to use your dashboard. It's not very hard at all. And then you're a news reporter in your community. And then, report on stuff that you love, right? If you love, like I have somebody that loves Formula One racing, and that's all they do. I just picked up a guy out of Dubai, and he does racing, like auto racing and equestrian stuff. And we have an equestrian section. And so now that information is now being transformed into the United States for an audience here, which is kind of cool, because if you're an equestrian lover, doesn't matter. It's going on in Dubai. So I actually have boots on the ground with photographs and everything. That to me is amazing. So the new person I just picking up in Pakistan, that person is going to be boots on the ground. When all those riots were happening in I think it was Ireland. I have a guy there that was covering that. It's really a complete citizen-powered press, and this is why we want, for the people that are interested, we want all new people. I don't believe the old guard is going to survive. Like what you do, you are a citizen press. That's what you do. What I am is the aggregator of you. Now, you already have a platform. You just want broader distribution. But the guy that's writing about the high school football game, there is no platform. I'm it. There's no other place to put that stuff. So that's all stuff that we'll cover: the local city council meetings, the bank robbery, the car crash, all that local news. This is just a perfect place to disseminate that information, where your stuff is going to run in multimedia, but is going to be distributed nationally to our whole audience. So when you have somebody that writes a story about the high school football game, and I get an audience of 2,000 or 3,000 people coming to see that, they're one click away from seeing your stuff. See what I mean? All they do is click multimedia, right? And all of a sudden, who's this? And now it's going to come down to you putting in the proper title, something that captures people, right? They go, let me see this. And they start watching it. Next thing you know, they start following you. Now on our platform, we're working on a follow button, which is the next step, because we're a platform. And then once that's completed, we'll take that it'll be from the app, and then it'll go to the website. And then we're going to do the Canadian version. And then we're just going to onboard more content creators and advertisers. That's what we're doing. So, we do, I told you before, we do have an offering. So we're doing a private placement. Anybody interested in making an investment, if you want to find out more about what we're doing, form your own conclusion. You go to your news, go to the bottom of the page, click invest. It'll take you to a website called Issuance Express, which is owned by North Capital Partners, which is a brokerage firm. The holding company is called Nico Ventures. It's no different than News Corp owns Fox News, but nobody calls them News Corp. They call them Fox News. So your news is owned by Nico Ventures. There's a reason for that, which we could get into at another time, because this is a roll-up model. I might as well bring it up now. At some point in time, I'll acquire somebody who has a horse racing website, a boxing website. We'll roll them up under our umbrella, and I might have 30 different verticals, but we'll make that guy the editor-in-chief for that particular category. He already knows, like, I don't know anything about horse racing news. I'm quite certain you don't either, right? But this is what they do for a living. But what you do is you bring them under your umbrella, you give a massive scale, and they bring all their audience with you and all their advertisers, and then you give them the ability for a bigger exit, because they're a spoke in the wheel. Your news is the wheel with 100 different verticals. They're just one vertical.
Freaking amazing.
Yes. Oh, it's coming. Trust me, I'll get it done. Yeah. So we're doing an offering. If somebody is interested in looking at our offering, it's a private placement. Anybody can participate. The minimum investment is $200. So we want shareholders. And if you believe the mainstream media is lying and you're looking for what's going to become the next mainstream media, this is it.
Get in on it, folks. you every time everybody always, I wish I would have known about that.
Oh, no question. I heard all the time. Yeah.
And here's the moment. This is your moment. 20 years from now, you can look back and be like, I miss it, or be like, I called that one nice. Sam, absolutely love having this conversation. I'm stoked about your news. Can't wait to start putting my stuff out there as well. Folks, the link is down in the description. It's scrolling across the bottom. Do us a solid, smash the thumb, hit the heart. The content was free, so share it out for me. I appreciate it. We'll catch you guys on the next one. God bless. Semper Fi.